guys all remember quarantine, right? Where we all had to sit inside in our pajamas, practically teach ourselves, do a lot of Zoom calls, and not really do a lot of our homework unless it was midnight and it was due in like 3 minutes. Yeah, I've done that for most of my life. So, I've been homeschooled since kindergarten, preschool, all the way up until my sophomore year, and then I transferred into public school. I have gotten a lot of strange questions, such as, do you sit in your pajamas all day and just eat food and watch TV? And everybody is always shocked at how old I am for a junior, but I'm here to clear up a lot of misconceptions about homeschoolers and tell you what the homeschool life is really about. Well, as a homeschooler, sick days and snow days aren't really a thing, which is kind of disappointing, but it's true. I know that unless I was physically incapable to get out of bed, if I was sick, I was still doing homework most of the time. So this is my wonderful, relatable meme. This is the stereotypical homeschool outfit that everybody thinks that us homeschoolers wear. I can tell you, I have never in my life worn a jean skirt like this. Never. I didn't have an amazing sense of style when I was in homeschool, but I definitely didn't look like this. I have met homeschoolers who wear these things, but it's a personal preference. It does not pertain to all of us. And I don't think I've ever met anyone who dresses like a pioneer. But my mother, I asked her to send me a picture of me when I was 8, and she found a picture of me wearing a pioneer dress. So it kind of disproves that, but I'm pretty sure this was because my aunt owned an antique store and I just happened to have worn this. I will go over the social influences of my homeschool life and my life skills, the education aspect that I get from homeschooling, and transferring to public school my sophomore year. So, when I was homeschooled, I did have life skills, I did have social skills, and this is a bit of a pie graph of before I started high school. You can see my common life skills, laundry, cooking, etc. And then you've got my social skills, just being in social situations, interacting with other people. I wasn't too bad at that. I did have a little bit of difficulty just because when I was born, I was 2 weeks in the hospital, so I had a bit of social anxiety and attachment issues, but I grew out of that pretty quick. My brothers were extremely social, and I was pretty mature for my age. You can see my sense of style is very nice, as I can show you today. And this little yellow sliver, you may not be able to read it, that was my knowledge of Taylor Swift about 4 years ago. Apparently, when you're a homeschool child, this is anything everybody thinks of is what's your knowledge of Taylor Swift. Didn't know who she was about 4 years ago, and everybody thought I was crazy because of it. This is a homeschool convention. We are very strange. We go to conventions and talk about curriculum and what our parents are going to teach us and how they're going to teach it to us. I'm pretty sure I have a lot of whittled sticks from these conventions. They're very strange, but they're kind of fun, and my mother forced me to go. So, there is a myth that most homeschool children are not well socialized, they don't interact with other children very well. That's been disproven about 1 million times. A homeschool mother of about 10 years, Rachel Gather-Cole, said it very well. Once upon a time, all children were homeschooled. Before school was a thing, everybody was taught at home. That's just how it was. Living with a single homeschool mother, I got taught a lot of independent skills. I knew how to cook, clean, change my sister's diaper, order my own food at a restaurant, all at about 7 years old, and it was pretty good for me. I definitely have a bit of a fear of failure and perfectionism because of my homeschooling, because my mom really pushed us to do our best. So I tend to work harder, not smarter. The education aspect of homeschooling is really good, especially because of all of the life skills that we learn. It's not just a bunch of book smarts. We definitely go in depth, especially with math. I'm technically behind a grade, but it's because we learned so deeply and made sure that we knew everything. Everybody thinks that homeschoolers can just get straight A's because their parents want them to graduate, but the truth is that if you're not understanding the material, you go over it until you do, and that's why we get straight A's. Homeschool is definitely very hands-on, and I have learned a lot about other cultures, and I've been able to cook foods from other places a lot of times. We've done a lot of really cool activities, and we were outside all the time. Transferring to public school was very difficult, I'm not gonna lie. The school needs transcripts from homeschoolers, and that's very hard because homeschoolers don't always have a health class or a PE class. My mom, because she taught us how to cook, clean, and take care of ourselves, and she was very healthy and made sure we knew how to take care of our bodies and all of that, we didn't have a specific health class, but the school doesn't really understand that. We didn't have a PE class because I was in cross country from about 6th grade. And we were outside all the time because we were doing hands-on activities. Other than transcripts and our certain classes, being socially around a bunch of people sophomore year definitely was hard, not because I didn't know how to interact with them, but because I was just so overwhelmed with the stimulation all the time that I got pretty exhausted. I did get sick a lot because I wasn't used to the exposure of a bunch of kids in one classroom all the time, but I acclimated pretty quickly to that. Though going into public school was tough, and homeschooling is a little bit different, I definitely am proud to be called that homeschool kid, other than the fact that every time I tell someone I'm 16 and a junior, they gasp very loudly.